Anyway, we're here with Ruaraidh Macleod. He is a serial entrepreneur. He'll talk about his various business successes over the years. He's a property investor, a Scientologist, someone that's very into their self-development and personal development, and a comedian, a humanitarian, amongst many, many other things. But he's had great success, and he's been a great example of how to deal with what we're going through right now with the lockdown and COVID-19 and what business owners of all shapes and sizes can do under the current circumstance. So thank you very much for taking the time to do the interview, Roy.
Thank you, mate. I'm honored.
Yeah, well, I'm still building up the audience. I'm not quite there yet, but...
Well, maybe if I do some singing.
Let's stick to the comedy. You know what I like about these interviews is I talk to people that I've known for years, and I try to ask them some questions that about stuff that I don't even know. Like, I know with you, you've always been into business to some degree, right?
Yeah.
But what was in America, a lot of entrepreneurs talk about, they started with a lemonade stand. What was your first taste of business, what are your early tastes of business, let's say before you graduated school or university?
Oh, I was right. So I remember, there's like 3 or something, but earliest taste of business I remember actually. My first thing was there was a building site close to me. They were building a big, huge estate. And me and a guy called Craig used to go up to the estate at night and go through all the empty buildings and find all the glass bottles. And you get 10 or 12 pence for those bottles. And I remember over the course of summer finding about 100 of those bottles. Probably more than that. I remember us having loads of bags and go down to the petrol station and then having to kind of deal with the guy ran the petrol station, so we just wanted hard cash for the bottles, but he was trying to encourage us to buy some sweets and stuff because then he could get a bit of money out of his profit for these sweets. So we had to kind of buy a little bit of sweets but try and get most of the cash. And also probably maybe that's a wee bit, it was a little bit dodgy as well, because I think walking about building sites at night probably wasn't allowed, but me and Craig did that. And that was my first kind of venture into me getting like cash in the world, and I was maybe like 7 or 8 then or something, maybe 9 maybe. And then I remember my next time when I got a job was I was about 11 or 12, and I had a paper round on a Sunday, which was really big. That was good. And then I got a job in a Pakistani newsagent in the village where I was from called Duntoker, and I was paid the handsome sum of 75 pence an hour.
No, 75p an hour. You're not that old. That must have been an illegal pay rate.
Yeah, well, I mean, even then that was tough. 75 pence an hour was a bitter pill to swallow. But you got a bag of crisps, a can of juice, and like a cake, because they threw the cakes out at the end of the day because they had fresh like buns that would come in and sit at sort of display thing, and like the bakery would drop them off, and whatever they sold they would like share the expense, and then the spoilage at the end of the night would get binned. That'd be one of my jobs, but 2 hours before they get binned I got to eat one. And then even like I'd head up the road about 10 o'clock after working there 10:15, or have my bike, and I'd be getting in maybe 10:15. And at that time I was just, I think, first year in primary 7, first year, just going from primary school to secondary school. So
and what was your motivation back then? Like, did you grow up poor? Did you want to be rich? Did you just want to make money to make ends meet?
We're kind of middle class. Like, my dad was a teacher, my mum worked part-time jobs. But then when I had that job, my parents had split up, and my dad had moved out of the house and had to get another house, like a small house, but he never had a lot of money. He was just a teacher, maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 grand a year or something. So he was skint. And then my mum was on, like, I remember walking to Hargate, which was about 3 miles away, every 2 weeks for the family allowance, which was like an added benefit. And I remember that was 14 quid. And then she got like a weekly, like, dole money, maybe 60 quid. So yeah, I had to earn money so as I could do stuff like buy things, or at the age of 12 I started drinking, so I had to fund my weekends, and I started taking drugs at 12 as well, so I had to fund that. So I made about 30, 40 quid a week at the age of like 12, 13, which I used to fund my drug and alcohol.
At 12, 13?
Yeah.
Not heavy drugs though, weed?
No, I started, my first joint was when I was 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so then I know you went to university though, right?
Yeah, I went to university. I went to art school first, art college, and then I got into Glasgow School of Art for sculpture, and then I got transferred to the fine art drawing and painting department, and then I get thrown out for poor work and poor attendance.
Wow, but you did have like an artistic influence, like you did want to be an artist.
Yeah, my dad was an artist, so well, I didn't actually, I'll be honest, I mean, I was good at art, like, but I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. And my dad went to art school, and he said, my dad used to tell me it was like the most amazing thing ever. Art school was like absolutely phenomenal. So I just had this idea, art school was absolutely amazing. And I went, and it was absolutely not amazing. And then it was like, I thought they would teach you how to like apply art, like how to apply oil paint or watercolors, or how to prepare a canvas, but there was no like basic teaching about how you actually painted or drew. So it was like I did do some good stuff, but there wasn't like teaching or learning. I thought I'd get like become a better artist, and then I thought maybe I could start like selling work, because I'd sold a little bit of stuff here and there, and then but at the same time I had a mobile phone. I was the only guy in the first year at art school to have a mobile phone, and I drove a Ford Fiesta XR2, and I was doing, like, I was working on the side now, and I remember like being in lectures, and I remember being in this big particular lecture that they had at a local cinema theatre, and like my phone went off, and the lecturer like was just leaned into the microphone and said, "Ruaraidh, can you switch off your phone?" It was like known that I was like, so I was kind of like a bit of a wheeler dealer. Like, my mates were mechanics, and I was like working, and like I got all my student loans now. I just used them for buying cars, doing up cars, selling cars, and then I'm with all these other guys that are like into drugs and long hair and doing like, you know, art and all that. And I didn't really fit in, and it wasn't even about fitting in, because I didn't care about that. But they didn't teach me anything like how to become a better artist. So then
then you switched over to like a marketing degree or something, no?
Yeah, then I went and did a 4-year honours degree in business, but I only did that because you get loans and grants, and I had to buy my cars, I had to go on holidays, like, so I just was like, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, so I was like, I'll just stick with uni for like another 4 years.
And a lot of people, like, you've now had a lot of business success, right? There's a huge debate at the moment about like whether uni is worth, like, is it worth going to uni? And obviously if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, it makes total sense. But you having done a business degree and now being an entrepreneur and business owner, what would you go, if you went back, would you go to uni again? Would you advise it for people that are getting into business or entrepreneurship?
Not business or entrepreneurship, no, definitely 100% no. I mean, like, even like I was going to say, like, if you're a surveyor or something, but even my mates are surveyors, they said like once they started surveying and worked for a company, that's when they learned to do stuff. The 4 years in uni wasn't really applicable. But it's like, I don't know, maybe like doctors or scientists or something, a very specific thing, if you're actually learning some like specific skill, or maybe if it's a really good university. But no, it was like, I remember like the marketing modules were pretty basic, pretty terrible. the economics. I actually, one economics thing I remember, and it was quite good. I quite enjoyed that. And then there was, I remember a computer thing where you started learning basic Excel, which I still do today. So I was like, that stuck with me. But I would say probably I kept about 1 or 2% of like the knowledge that was fired at me at uni. I slept through most of the classes. Like I just winged it for the exams. Like I remember turning up my car in the morning into the car park and falling asleep, and then about 2 o'clock heading home, and then going to work. And it was like, yeah. And then it was like, just for business, it was. I think a business degree in general, what I think, and I might be wrong, but most people who do a business degree don't actually know what they want to do in life.
Right.
And when I speak to a lot of young people, it's like they're doing that, and I'm like, well, do you want to do that? And they're like, well, no, I'm keeping my options open. Or why are you doing that? Well, it can lead to a lot of different things. Or why do you want that? Well, I want to keep my options open. Which way are you going to go? I don't know. And then I just find a lot of them are just at uni because, like me, they don't actually know where they're going or what they're doing, and they can't, like. And then the guys are like got a passion and they know where they're going, they fly. Or even just guys that get to work and start doing a job or working in a company or doing a trade, like then they can start to learn how to do something and build it. I find those guys do better.
And so here's one thing I think people will find really interesting, right? So you were wheeling and dealing and making a bit of cash since the age of 8 or 9. So you always had it in you to hustle, right? To like do something to make ends meet, to make some money.
Yeah.
But I know you also often talk about like the thing of going from employee to employer. Like, how do you make that switch between just making money, which ends up being on a per hour basis, to becoming an entrepreneur or becoming someone that employs people? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember you telling me that was like a cleaning business in Scotland or something. But what was the thing that made you switch to that?
Well, that was, I mean, what was the thing? Probably like purpose, or like what I was trying to do in my life. Like I would probably say I was absolutely miserable, like working. This is going back about 18 years or something, but I was on 25 grand a year basic plus a commission. I worked for Yellow Pages and Yale.com, like doing their stuff like ads in the books and all that. So it was actually, back then it was quite good money, but I was just like purposeless and kind of like, oh, this is not what I want to be doing. And I remember having like go out for a drink on a Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then the Monday and Tuesday nights just be sitting with dread, thinking tomorrow I do not want to go into work. Like I remember just thinking, oh God, I just don't want to go to work. And I know there's thousands and thousands of people like that. It's like, you know, the weekend it hits Sunday and then it starts to hit Sunday dinner time and everyone's a bit depressed and oh, what's up? Oh, just thinking about going to work tomorrow. Oh, I hate the place. And I was just the exact same. And then I was doing like Scientology then, and it was like, that was brilliant. It was really good, like doing like the auditing and courses and stuff. And I was like, and then I'm sitting like with this sort of manager woman. She's kind of like, you know, you have to give it more in your conf and, you know, your conversion rate. And I'm sitting kind of going, okay, I'm going to leave after today. And then I just went. I was just like, I phoned the centre in Edinburgh. I was like, do you have any jobs there? And I was like, yeah. I was like, can I come work there? Like, yeah, okay, good. And I just sold my house and I left. I just said, my best mate Crumlish was living with me. He was paying, I think my mortgage was about 400 quid. I think Crumlish was paying about 60 quid a month or something for his room or whatever. But I just loved his company. And I was like, Crumbs, I'm moving. And he was like, oh. And then, what am I going to do? I need to go. And then I just went to Edinburgh, and that's when I started labouring, and I was earning nothing, like 60 quid a day or something, but at least I was like happy. And then that's when I stumbled across my first like kind of business, like communal stairwell cleaning. I started doing that, and then within a couple of months I was earning about 400-500 quid, 600 quid for a day's work.
Wow.
So and then I did volunteering like another 5 days, 6 days, just, and then that paid for my rent, I paid for my clothes, I paid for my car, paid for my phone, paid for. And so that was me. And then I was doing something I liked, like not the stair cleaning was fine because it was my business, but like doing stuff at the organisation in Edinburgh, that was good.
And so you mentioned Scientology, right? And you also mentioned before being miserable, drinking, taking drugs. How did you find Scientology, and what impact did it have on you?
Well, my dad found Scientology when I was about 9, and my parents split up when I was about 10 or something, like, or whatever, but my mother's family were like, stay away, it's the devil's work and stuff like that. And so I would just join in with them, go, oh, it's the devil's work. And then, but my dad was quite like a antagonistic guy, and I used to get like quite a few spankings in my youth and growing up. And he was quite an angry guy, and I never really conversated with him a lot or anything like that. And I just remember him when he started like going through to like the Edinburgh place and like doing Scientology. I didn't have a clue what it was, but I just remember him kind of like becoming more softer and kind of gentler and communicating. And like me and my sister would fight. Normally we'd like stop the car and I'd be like, right, and then he'd drive off. And he'd be like, guys, like you should stop fighting. Like you need to love each other and all that. And I was kind of like, who's this? Like, what the hell? And then the family were going, oh, it's terrible. And I was kind of going, oh, it's terrible, but he seems a lot more better.
Yeah.
So then it was like, but unfortunately, kind of at the time I was looked to lose. It was quite a interesting upbringing in my household. My mum went taken into psychiatric care when I was about 8, and she was in and out of psychiatric hospitals. So I was kind of left to my own devices. And then that's when I was like smoking dope and taking LSD and drugs and alcohol and kind of, it was just like escapism from my life, and like I didn't really have any purpose, but I was quite spiritual. Like I very kind of, from a very young age, I believed that I was not the body. I remember telling my mum that was the case when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So, and I remember taking drugs and feeling all different, and kind of thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. But then the next day it was like the crash and the crash and the crash, and then especially the LSD, that was horrendous. And the next day that was just heavy. And then that just got a bit too much for me. So it was like round about 17, 18, it was like that was a point where I was kind of quite a low ebb. And then that was when I did, like I kind of reached out for help from my dad, and he took me and I did the purification rundown, the detox thing.
That was like pretty much the first thing you did?
No, the first thing I did just prior to that was some Dianetics auditing, and that worked, and I felt relief. And I was like, I went from like depressed and hopeless to having some relief, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, like that, like whatever that woman did there, that worked. And then I saw my mum going in and out of psychiatric hospitals and getting worse and worse and worse. And I was like, oh, that doesn't work. So I was like, this Dianetics works. Doctors, psychiatry, that doesn't work. So when I was like, I kind of get caved in a bit when I was about 18 or something, like heavy depression. Like I was crying for about 3 days. My dad was 5 and I was in Glasgow, and he came back and I was like, oh, I need help. And it was like, okay, and he took me straight to the centre, and then sat down with a guy called Brian in a room, and he's like, okay, so what drugs are you taking? I was
like, and it all came out.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing. So, and that realization that Dianetics auditing worked, how long did that, was it a session? Was it a series of sessions? How long did it take you to go from like being somewhat skeptical about Dianetics and Scientology to thinking, oh, this actually works?
Okay, I don't know how much I can say, right? So it was probably it was like, basically I was doing this audition with a lady called Fran, and we were hitting up against something, and I kept on seeing things, but I wouldn't tell her what it was I was looking at. I was like, she's like, oh, you know, tell me what you're seeing. Oh, I can't see it. But I kept on getting this thing. And on the second week, she just persisted. And it was like, what are you looking at? And I was like, I told her. And then we ran, like talked about this incident. It was pretty harsh. And after that, I had this huge relief. Just felt like this weight come off me. I was like, whoa. And I was just like, and I mean, I was only like 17, I think. But I remember thinking, God, like, this works. I was like, and that gave me a relief just in itself, that because I grew up with drugs and my mum going into psychiatric care and like my family saying all this stuff about my dad, and there was nothing out there that I could see that was a solution. And then this woman like spent her time doing this process, going over incidents in my life, and suddenly I feel this big massive relief, and I was like, something works. It was like, oh my God, brilliant. I know that works. I was like, if anything ever happens, I know that I've got this thing that works. And it was just, that gave me a relief as well. So I got this feeling of relief from the session, but then also this double relief because there was something out there that worked. So that was double whammy.
Yeah, I for some reason, that moment for people like is the thing that gives me goosebumps, because I always feel like it's that moment where you go from like hopelessness to at least seeing that there's some hope, you know, there's some concept that things can be better than they are, that you can like improve your conditions kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it cut out a wee bit of the last bit there, but yeah, that was it.
So then you kind of build slowly in business. You go from being employed to doing the stair cleaning, making a little bit of money off that. And then you've come quite a long way since there as far as business is concerned. Give us like a quick overview of the last, I don't know how many years it is, but like just where you're at now as a businessman, as an entrepreneur.
Well, I don't know. I don't know all this stuff that's going on, but I can tell you what it was like just before this.
Yeah. If Rory files for bankruptcy in the next 2 weeks, we'll have to remove the interview.
Exactly. So, no, I mean, it's actually amazing, like how the structure we've got, like, and all the stuff I've learned and everything I've put in, it's like so strong. So it's like, I mean, before this main business I've got, we were going for a target of 7 million turnover for this business, but then my business partner Stuart, we had a development where we'd bought a barn and a house and some land, and we got that at a really good price, and we'd done some good renovations to the house and put that up for rent, and we're doing some stuff to the barn to develop it. And then I'd bought commercial units, which are still fine, they're all rented out. And I got some property, and then we bought more property, bought a large amount of property. But basically, when all this stuff happens, I was in a position where I didn't need to see through the deal. So in quite a lot of that property, I just handed it back. Stuart stayed in, he's still doing a lot of the property. But at that point for me, I've got another business venture and stuff I'm doing, and I want to focus on this stuff. So I just kind of let it go. But I mean, that's only in the last couple of years it's kind of really built up into the millions. It's took, I mean, that's been 10, 11 years working at this to build it up to a point where I think I've got about 80 staff now. Well, pre-corona. So we've got, most of the staff are off in furlough just now. So you can see it's like, this is my office, but well, we're a wee bit late at 8:30. I've been here most of the day.
But you've built that business from the first gutter cleaner.
Yeah, and the Ben's Gutters, yeah, and now we're the biggest gutter maintenance company in UK.
Well, how did you see the opportunity in that? Because I noticed with you as well, sometimes you see things a little differently. I remember we were at a mate's commercial kitchen the other day, and you looked at the oven extractor, and you're like, oh, that's a good business. We could have cleaners that clean the extractor oven, because that would be at night, and I noticed you sometimes see these things. So did that happen with Ben's Gutters? How do you see these kind of opportunities?
Well, it was a friend of mine, Murdo, that had started the gutter business. So he actually started it. And it's just really when you look at the figures and look how something is. But I mean, I've learned from loads of people, like everyone that I do business with, generally I'll learn new stuff. And down through the years, I mean, I'm 42 now, but I've picked up a lot of stuff. But you look at how a job can be done, when it can be done, can it be scaled up? Can more people do it? Like, what's the profit in it? The more experience you get, then you can look at a thing and you know pretty quickly, like, nah or no. So then people come to me and they, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I'm like, and then recently somebody said, what about this? And I looked at it and I was like, oh, and then it was like, you just see, how it can scale, how it can work. You're like, oh, yeah. So you I suppose that comes with experience and then in doing it. Like, I mean, I think just going out and starting from an early age is the best thing to do. That's what I'd say. Like, just if you want to do business, just go out. Obviously, some stuff requires, if you want to make a big booming dental practice, then maybe you need to learn how to be a dentist first. But I think, but stuff that you don't need to go to uni for, you should just start it if you're into it.
And you mentioned how like Scientology helped you with the problem of drugs or depression, or when you were in that tougher time in your life. Yeah. What's like on a really practical level? What's one Scientology tool that you use that helps you in your business?
God, a million. I mean, okay, well, let's pick something pretty straightforward. Like, there's a good course called Overcoming Ups and Downs in Life, and it teaches you how to spot social characteristics in people and antisocial characteristics in people. Now, what can happen is, like, if you've got a call center and you're doing something a certain way, you can get somebody who's a little bit antisocial that can say, like, yeah, speaking to everyone and they don't like that we're doing this. Now, they say that to a couple of people in the office, and then a couple of people in the office, they don't evaluate like where this information's coming from. They take the information that customers don't like us doing this. So then one person says it and then says it to another two people. So now like three people have got this idea, customers don't like us doing this. And then they speak to the other like staff, and then you've got 10 people think customers don't like us doing this. And then you get a manager that comes in and he gets told by the 10 workers, customers don't like us doing this. So then he starts to change the system, which I've designed to put forward, to change it because customers don't like us doing this. So then I'm like, if I come in, I go, okay, so customers don't like it. So what customers? Well, just customers. Okay, who said that? Oh, John. John's one of the 10. Hi, John. So customers. So when did the customer say that to you? We didn't actually say that to me. But I know they don't like it. Well, who said it to you? Well, Peter said it to me. Peter. Now, customers don't. No. Who said it? Oh, Charlie. And he's one of the three. Right? Who said it? Oh, well, Mary said it. And you get back to Mary, and you're like, out of the 100 customers you spoke to, Mary, who said that? All of them. And you're just like, interesting. And Mary's just got this idea about stuff that she splits out, and then it can, if you don't catch these things fast, your business can quickly get wrecked because people just act without evaluating information. So I watch out for people speaking in broad generalities, like everybody thinks, everybody knows, because in my business, you have to have specifics and you have to have numbers. So it's like, who said that? When, like, okay, we've spoke to 76 customers, 2 were upset. I'm like, okay, keep doing what we're doing. Like, we spoke to 76 customers, like 47 of them said we shouldn't be doing this, right? Like, stop doing that or whatever. Or 47 people didn't like it. Okay, right, okay. So you really evaluate the data.
It's all like solid data-based rather than rumor-based. And then you have the technology that you're talking about antisocial personalities, so that you can hone in on who it's actually coming from, if there's like bad news or something, some false information traveling around the office.
Yeah, yeah. There's loads of stuff like statistics to monitor like production and putting a person in charge in an area and really getting that person to be responsible for that area. So if you've got like that area, that area, that area, that area, and each of them have a statistic, and the statistic goes down, you can go to that specific area and that person and say, okay, what's happening in this area? Whereas in normal businesses, they don't have statistics or they don't have specific areas. So when things are a bit rocky, it's a bit hard to find out exactly where the problem is. So, I mean, you have the organization board as well, all the different departments and all that. So there's loads of, I mean, there's a million different tools. I'm using it all the time, every day.
And okay, now getting more into the current scenario, obviously things are never going to be perfect for most organizations unless you're in one of the very few organizations that are being positively affected right now. But what's something that you've done? I know it's not been perfect, but what's something that you've done to keep things going over this time period?
Well, initially there was like the government announcement, like, oh, stay at home, and we really just looked at what was said exactly, because it was basically like an announcement, and then everyone was to do with the announcement. So we really, initially I was like, oh no, we need to close the business. But then as I listened, it was like, okay, if you can't work from home, I was like, well, we can't take card payments from home. I don't have the computer systems at home. Like I could have some guys. And so then I didn't close the business to start with. I kept it open and I kept like a shoestring staff. And then we just kept on looking into like the actual government facts, like what are we allowed to do, what are we not allowed to do? Because we'd phone, again, this sort of antisocial thing came about, because we'd phone customers like, hi, do you want us to come? And you would speak to quite a few, yeah, but that was fine. And then occasionally you'd get like a person who would just speak like, why are you working? What are you doing? Like, and again, if you didn't know about social personality, antisocial personality, you didn't understand all this stuff, you could crumble and go, oh, let's close. But I've got a lot of subcontractors and a lot of self-employed people connected to my company as well. And without me, these guys are in deep trouble. So it's like I had to, for them, minimally, because I could have just closed up. The government pays all my staff 80%, but my main worry was these guys that are like subcontractors and that are connected to the business. So I just said, right, guys, look, this is our target, to keep these guys at least getting some money, and that's what we're going to do. And we just started off with that, and we just we have our customer base, which is about 150,000 names and numbers and stuff, and we just kept in contact with them and kept the work kind of going. And then through different means, because we do like 150,000 leaflets a week, the leaflet stopped. So instantly the leaflet stopped. So we just upped Facebook, we upped Google, we upped Instagram, Pinterest, like doing lots of different online stuff, because everyone's on their phone. And like the phones were quite good, and I had to bring some people off furlough, and we just kind of spread them out about the office. And we've now got 11 staff and upstairs and downstairs. Granted, we usually have about 40, but just now we're actually producing very well, actually, for what we've got. So I've got guys on furlough that are covered, and then my self-employed contractors, subcontractors, these guys are getting work. And then my hardcore true guys that I've really been proud of are the guys that have kind of made it in, but they don't live at home with anyone that's, you know, at risk, and they're young, they live by themselves or with their partners, and, you know, we follow all the guidelines. There's been a lot of my staff that are like, listen, I still stay with my parents, they're over 65, they've had these health conditions, XYZ, I can't come back. I'm like, okay, fine. So the guys that have come in have all been in a position to come in, and then through that the business has kept on going. So we're actually not in, I know a lot of businesses that are in a much worse state than ours. We're actually not too bad. I mean, okay, we're about half the size we were, but if that increases a bit as this comes off, hopefully, then maybe we return to 80% for this year, and then we go after that.
Amazing. And I know that, like, you know, you do a lot of work with charities and humanitarian programs, and you've even helped to open a church in the United Kingdom. I know that, like, the gutter cleaning itself or the houses themselves is really not it's not what gives you the fire or motivates you. What would you say is your motivation for what you do in business, for what you do in property, etc.? What gets you excited?
Well, I mean, the way I do it is, it's like, if, let's say you had money, and it's like a wee exercise you do. So you just say, okay, if I had money, what would I do? And then it's like, yeah, buy a nice house, a nice car. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, I drive an okay car, I've got an okay house. It's not a big thing for me, but like most people say that sort of stuff, go on holiday and all that. Okay, so you do go on holiday, you have a nice car, you got a big house, okay, fine, cool. So like after the holiday in the car and that, you get loads of money, what do you do? And it's kind of, and some people, well, I'd help my family or I'd help my friends. Okay, why? Like, well, I want to see them doing well, like, you know, but this sort of help idea comes out, and then you see it a lot with people that are in business that do really well, or artists that do well, like, then they start wanting to help people, because I think that's like an innate thing inside people to like help others. It's like, and I grew up with some good friends that helped me, and they've always been there for me over the years. And then it's like, but that's like a thing that people have this sort of desire to help one another. But then I like meeting people and helping them. And then I get kind of, I suppose it's like a feeling of being proud when I see them doing well, and I know that I was part of their kind of journey, I suppose, not to sound like corny, but like there's a lot of people that I've helped in life, and I know they're doing well now. And if they hadn't met me, I don't know what would have happened, but I'm proud that like I helped them. So that's my passion, and that's my main thing. So yeah, like you say, me doing donations and doing this and doing that, that's because it's my purpose, basically. That's what I like. That's what gives me a great sense of satisfaction, to help people. That's my main objective.
Yeah, and it's totally true, because I've known you for many years, and I know a lot of the people that you have helped. And yeah, I know that when people reach out for you for help, you're like one of the most genuine. You'll give them the time of day, you'll take the time with them, you'll take the time to explain things to them if they don't understand it. So that couldn't be more true about you, that your intention is to help people. And I know that you're doing that more and more on a business sense through your Instagram and your Facebook. So if anyone watching wants to go and follow you, Ruaraidh Macleod or Ruaraidh Consultancy, or it's Ruaraidh Macleod, isn't it? On the
I got it to Ruaraidh Mac. That was the latest one.
Is that like, did you make it Rory, like not the Scottish spelling? Is it like
Yeah.
R-U-R-Y?
Yeah. Well, Ruaraidh in Scotland, my name means Red King, but Red King was taken, and then I got Ruaraidh Mac. But even that's a new thing. Like, I'm not, you know yourself, it was only a couple of months ago I started Instagram, like, and I've never done anything like that before, and that's a new thing for me. And then that's got its hurdles as well. It's like, it's tough.
Yeah.
To try and get people to look. So, but yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for your time and opening up. It's awesome. I think the advice on the antisocial personalities is like incredible. The thing about people's purpose being to help is amazing. And your story of going from like hopelessness and drugs and depression to seeing that there's hope and having this relief, I think it's awesome.
Brilliant, Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.